On July 12, 2025, at the Ed Murphy Classic in Memphis, Tennessee, a 17-year-old from Chesapeake, Virginia ran the 400 meters in 44.10 seconds. He started in lane 5. He ran the bend cleanly, built through the back straight, and by the final 100 meters he had separated from a field that included Olympic and World Championship medalists, senior professional athletes who had been running this event for a decade. The clock stopped at 44.10. That number made him the fastest under-18 400-meter runner in the history of the event. Not the fastest American under-18, not the fastest in 2025. The fastest who had ever lived at that age, anywhere on the planet, since the event was first run. He was 17 years old, he was still in high school, and 3 weeks before the US World Championships trials, he had just posted the kind of time that stops rooms full of coaches and makes them pull up spreadsheets they haven't opened since the last time someone ran something they couldn't explain. The last time, it turned out, was also Quincy Wilson, 11 months earlier. That's the part of this story most people haven't fully reckoned with. The 44.10 wasn't the beginning. It wasn't even close to the beginning. It was the latest in a sequence of performances stretching back to when Wilson was 8 years old and first put on running shoes, a sequence so consistent and so far outside the normal developmental curve that the people who track junior athletics for a living had already run out of comparisons. The 44.10 was just the number the rest of the world finally couldn't ignore. Chesapeake, Virginia, January 8, 2008. Quincy Wilson was born to parents who understood sport at a level most families don't. His mother, Monique, was a soccer and basketball star in high school and college, a Hall of Famer at Seven School. His father, Roy, played football for the Naval Academy. His older sister, Cadence, became a state champion in track before going on to run at James Madison University. His cousin, Shania Hall, ran track at the University of Oregon. This was not a family that needed to be introduced to what elite athletics looked like. They recognized it early, and when Quincy started running at 8 years old, they saw something that went beyond what the family tree alone could explain. He was at his first track meet before most kids have decided on a favorite sport. By 14, he had broken a 30-year-old national under-14 record in the 400 meters. A record set by Obeah Moore in the early 1990s, when Wilson's parents were still in high school themselves. The sport paid attention, quietly, internally, in the specific way that track communities notice things before the mainstream does. His parents made a decision. As Quincy approached high school age, they relocated the family from Chesapeake to Gaithersburg, Maryland, so he could attend Bullis School in Potomac. Not because Chesapeake was the wrong place to raise a family, because Bullis had Coach Joe Lee, and Joe Lee had spent 10 years building one of the most serious high school track programs in the country. A former college runner turned youth pastor who understood better than most that raw talent and proper development are two entirely different things, and that without the second, the first can vanish without warning. Quincy's mother, Monique, told reporters later that the move was simply what the situation required. "My parents, my sister, and everybody in my family has sacrificed so much," Quincy said in 2024. "My mom has put everything into me, and my father has as well." At Bullis, under Lee, Wilson kept getting faster in a way that didn't follow the normal curve. Most junior sprinters improve in fractions, hundredths of a second per season, carefully accumulated across years of training. Wilson was dropping time in chunks, indoor records, outdoor records, national high school records, each one filed quietly in the databases that serious athletics people monitor, each one annotated with the same fact: this kid is only 16. In March 2024, he set the world best for the indoor under-18 400 meters with a time of 45.76 seconds. That time by itself would have been a career highlight for most athletes. Wilson broke it before the outdoor season had even started. Then came the US Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon, June 2024, Hayward Field, and the 3 days that introduced Quincy Wilson to the world. He was 16 years old, and he had never run in a meet like this. Hayward Field is where the world's best American athletes come to compete for Olympic spots. The crowd understands what fast means. The officials have seen everything. The times get scrutinized immediately by people who know exactly what they mean and exactly where they sit in the historical record. In the first round of the men's 400 meters, Wilson ran 44.66 seconds. That broke an under-18 world record that had stood for 42 years. A record set in 1982, when the athletes who designed the current Olympic qualification system hadn't yet started their careers. Gone in round 1 by a 16-year-old who still hadn't passed his driving test. 2 days later, in the semi-finals, he ran 44.59. His own record broken again. 3 sub-45-second runs across 3 days of competition. Noah Lyles, 6-time world champion, the most decorated American sprinter of his generation, watched the footage and posted 2 words: "He is him." Robert Griffin III posted about it. Magic Johnson posted about it. Athletes who had no professional reason to monitor high school track meets were posting about Quincy Wilson because the Times were doing something that Times rarely do. They were crossing over from the specialist world of athletic statistics into something that general sports audiences could feel without needing context. He finished 6th in the final at 44.94. The top 3 made the individual Olympic team. He didn't. But his performances across the trials were enough to earn him a spot in the relay pool. And on August 9, 2024, at the Stade de France in Paris, Quincy Wilson ran the opening leg of the United States 4x400 relay heat. He was 16 years old. In 128 years of American men's Olympic track history, no male athlete had ever been younger. He struggled on that leg, 47.27, well off his best. The first leg pressure of an Olympic relay at 16 not translating cleanly from the times he'd been running in American meets. He said afterward he hadn't run his best, but that he knew he had a great team. Team USA recovered, qualified from the heat, won gold in the final without him. He went home an Olympic gold medalist, technically by virtue of having run in the heats at 16 years old. Then the doubt crept in. The early months of 2025 didn't go cleanly. In May, at a high-profile 400-meter showdown, Wilson was narrowly beaten by Jaden Horton-Mims, who ran 45.24 and briefly took the #1 ranking among US high school athletes. Online, and in some corners of the track community, the questions started. Had he plateaued? Was the Paris hype outrunning the reality? Was a 16-year-old breaking a 42-year-old record just an anomaly, a moment, rather than the beginning of something sustained? These are the questions that follow every young athlete who announces themselves loudly and then doesn't immediately get louder. The narrative machine that sports culture runs on is not patient. It moves fast and it requires continuous confirmation. One meet where someone else runs faster and the story starts rewriting itself. Quincy Wilson went to Memphis. On July 12, 2025, he lined up at the Ed Murphy Classic in a field of senior professionals. Men who were competing for world championship spots. Men who had been running sub 44.5 for years. He started in lane 5. He attacked the back straight. He ran 44.10 seconds. The under-18 world best, improved by 10 hundredths from his own previous mark of 44.20. Pending verification by the USATF Records Committee, the second fastest time ever run by any under-20 athlete in history. The 4th best time in the world in 2025, across all ages, at any level. A 17-year-old running the 4th fastest 400 meters on the planet in that calendar year, in a field that included Olympic and World Championship medalists. In Memphis in July, with the World Championships trials 3 weeks away, the coaches who had been asking whether Wilson had plateaued quietly closed their laptops. The 400 meters is the most demanding single-lap event in athletics. It is not, like the 100 meters, a test of pure explosion that a gifted teenager can stumble into through raw physical advantage. It demands pacing intelligence, the ability to distribute effort across 400 meters of track in a way that doesn't destroy the back straight. It demands lactate management, the capacity to keep running fast when the body's energy systems have already issued their strongest complaints. It demands race experience, The kind of specific, irreplaceable experience that comes from running this event in big fields, in high-pressure meets, against athletes who know how to run 400 meters as well as anyone in the world. Wilson is running 44.10 at 17.